So, I'm back.
In the cut with my twin, we be vibing.
I'm very much back, and we are finally talking about this new NBA resting rules. Is Adam Silver cooking up something great, or is he trying to cook too much, man? I goddamn love modern day talk. Nonetheless, as you can see, we have this great article by Bobby Marks that explains all these new rules on resting and resting stars and how it will work. And I've just read through it. I read through it on Wednesday. Now I read through it again just to make sure I understand everything as much as possible. And let's get into it, right? We have a new deal coming up for this season that, of course, as you can see, new rules here. We had the player resting policy entering the 2017-18 seasons, and yeah, you could not rest your healthy players for any high-profile and national televised games. And that would be, they would, the millionaires would get fined some dollar on the penny, I guess, for them. Nonetheless, I don't think it really did anything, right? I don't think there was less resting. Nonetheless, now we'll have new rules, which is the player participation policy, PPP. More improved, better, stronger, or however you want to call it, rules. Heading into this new upcoming NBA season, the 2023-2024 season, and this policy was approved, and you must comply with the rest rules for a star player, which is a player who has been an all-star or an all-NBA team in any of the previous 3 seasons. Last 3 seasons. I can't pronounce the word 3. Pardon me on that. So you, of course, will have the players that you consider stars for sure, like Steph, like LeBron, like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, and all that, etc., 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 right? Jokic, Embiid, you already know who I'm talking about. And I will show the list of everyone in here. Nonetheless, all these players, of course, are stars. And then you also have some anomalies per se, right? Nikola Vucevic is counted as a star, which, like, internationally he is a star, but in the NBA I think no longer he is a star. Ben Simmons is counted as a star, which, of course, is by his play just unexplainable. Mike Conley is considered a star, which is, of course, he made the All-Star team by a replacement, and now he's a star in this. So I think the league could have made an exception for some of these guys, but overall the lists, of course, make sense because there will be All-Stars, there will be those best players in the NBA on those star lists, and of course, there are 2 teams with 4 stars, which are the Golden State Warriors. Shout out to Clutch Point for this beautiful article. I'll link all these articles in down below if you want to just read through them and you don't want to listen to me talk about it, which you could have done already. But I hope you listen to me talk about it because I think I'm fun.
I'm a fun guy.
I'm a fun guy. So as you can see, 4 stars, Warriors, Timberwolves. As you can see, Mike Conley belongs here, Rudy Gobert belongs here, Towns belongs here, which you could argue that all of these 3 should not be counted as stars if you were to be real, right? But you also understand why they are. Then you have 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 star. You can pause the video if you want. And without a star, we have 3 teams here. Nonetheless, that does not matter really here, as we're here to talk about those rules.
All right, this is it, people. Let's move. Let's go, go, go,
go. So, first of all these teams have to comply to it, right? They all agreed to it, I suppose. And now you have that no more than 1 star player is unavailable for the same game. So, you see the example for the Celtics. You have to ensure that either Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum is available for each game. Unless both players are determined to be injured, the Celtics would not be allowed to rest both players in the same game. Of course, you can see that both missed out on the 2 games at the same time. So it doesn't happen often, really. For example, KD and Devin Booker cannot be rested on the same night, right? If they are healthy. which I think is a good thing, right? I feel like that's something right. As long as you're genuinely healthy, right? If as long as it's truly not a risk to your health, which who knows, man? With modern medicine, it might genuinely be a risk, right? And that's why all the resting is happening. That is it's just such a longer season, and you hear Steve Kerr talk about it a lot, and a lot of these teams that go deep into the playoffs that the regular season should be shorter, right? A lot of these regular season games just don't have the same juice. So, of course, the NBA decided to do the in-season tournament. We'll see how that works out with it. But, you know, I understand both sides, right? You want the profit, and
Hello, I like money.
you obviously want these millionaires to play when, the fans are there for one night and one night only in their lives, maybe. But I also understand that from a health-wise perspective and from the modern medicine, you don't want to overdo the body. And I mean, would it really be such an issue if there were, per se, I don't know, 70 games in a season, 72 games in a season, maybe 65, something like that, when you would cut the schedule a little bit and have more rest in between? Maybe there would not be no back-to-backs if you had 65 games, right? I don't know. I don't know. We don't obviously know the whole logistics that go behind it, but something like this feels a little more logical. But I am not against this overall, right? I like that we'll have the star players will have to play a little more. And then, secondly, we have that teams must ensure that star players are available for national TV and in-season tournament games. The example, Suns host the Portland Trail Blazers and then host the Warriors. Devin Booker would not be allowed to sit out a Warriors game for a rest because it is on national television. Of course, once again, we are talking about ratings here. Makes sense, right? Intriguing thing is, right, the Warriors have 41 games, national televised. So, yeah, that's gonna be fun, as Draymond is actually counted as a star. So if Steph Curry is sitting out, I'm pretty sure that Draymond will not be able to sit out, right? Because you can't rest more than one star player. So Steph Curry can sit out, but Draymond can't. Even though I kind of think there could be a loophole with the exception, which we'll talk about a little later on, as you can see in my goddamn notes.
Write that down, write that down!
But that's neither here or there. Then the third rule is that teams must maintain a balance between the number of one-game absences for a star player in home games and road games, with a preference for those absences to happen in home games. Last season, Steph, Clay, and Draymond all played in a home game lost to Indiana, which was that Andrew Nembhard game, which I'm still kinda not over, and a road loss to the Utah Jazz 2 nights later. They did not play, all three of them. Of course, Golden State would have been investigated and likely fined in this case, which I'm not sure if the fine, I'm not sure I actually saw in this article the fine numbers, but I'll make sure to include that in if I find them. But I think that's a good thing overall, but still, like, I don't know. Will it make truly a difference? I guess so. But they'll probably rest the game before if it's possible. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. But in this case, of course, they would probably rest Steph, Clay, and Draymond in this game then. As you can see, preference for those absences to happen in home games, and then they would play in Utah. So I guess that's a change. I don't know how I feel about that, but I guess it's better a little bit for at least the road fans that get to see them once a year. Teams must refrain. Let me slow it down a little bit. Breathe in, breathe out a little bit. Don't forget to nurture your breath. Teams must refrain from any longer-term shutdown or near shutdown where a star player stops participating in games or plays in a materially reduced role in circumstances affecting the integrity of the game. So basically, you can shut down the players essentially when you're out of playoff contention. Bradley Beal and Damian Lillard did it last year. I suppose you can do that now, which is a good thing overall, even though, is it a good thing really? I feel like it doesn't really matter as all these teams anyway lose interests, and I would very much rather have Bradley Beal and Damian Lillard miss last 10, 11 games of this season and be healthy for the next season than get injured in those games where they are already out of playoff contention, right? Imagine Damian Lillard getting hurt last year in last game of the season and being out for the whole year this year. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know, but I think, of course, they'll be able to go around it a little bit, right? Maybe, maybe they'll play just a little, like, not as hard as usually, but still could lead to an injury. Obviously. Teams also must ensure that healthy players resting for a game are present and visible to fans, which I guess so. I mean, it's kind of funny that, right, we have to see these players, but I think we understand that. Why is the NBA doing this is fairly obvious, right? Greater player participation, star player absences to be minimized, ratings, fan and public perception, compliance. Which, to be fair, I obviously overall think it's a good thing, but but yeah, there is also a transparency factor as it relates to gambling. Gambling, gamble responsibly if you do, man. Of course, the all NBA criteria, we did not talk about that, but it makes sense. How many teams will be affected by these new rules? Here are the definitions of star players, as you can see here. I already talked about some, for example, Ben Simmons, right? And otherwise, it's fairly well-known names. And of course, the list probably will change after the All-Star game when, of course, if, for example, Tyrese Maxey, Victor Wembanyama, Paolo Banchero, and all these players that were never All-Stars or are upcoming young stars, or, for example, Klay Thompson, if he returns to an All-Star form and becomes an All-Star this year, he'll, of course, enter the list after that. So that's pretty reasonable, and it makes sense considering these rules. And exceptions for these rules, which I've hinted at, are that players who are over 35 years old or 35 years old on opening night, or you have career workload of 34,000 regular season minutes and 1,000 regular season and playoff games combined. If a team feels that they are unable to play in back-to-back games, you must provide to the NBA written information at least 1 week prior explaining why the player's participation should be limited. For example, Chris Paul, Mike Conley, Stephen Curry, KD, LeBron, KD once again here, DeMar, and James Harden. Hey, we all make mistakes, so that happens. This is a great example to explain it. Lakers said Anthony Davis and LeBron in a game at Brooklyn, and then the two would play the next night in New York. Of course, under the new player participation policy rules, the PPP, the Lakers could have sought approval for James to miss the Nets game because he has played at least 34,000 regular season minutes, but Davis would not have been allowed to sit out the Brooklyn game if LeBron received the permission to miss the game. So that makes sense. And of course, you can also seek approval for a star player to be unavailable for one end of a back-to-back based on the player's prior or unusual injury history. So, for example, Kawhi, right? On every article or every post about this, Kawhi and PGR on the thumbnail, which I'll probably have also, and I'll have some Adam Silver on there also. We'll see. Nonetheless, I'm pretty sure this is great. I really like this. I'm a little skeptical about the overall health, but I don't know, man. Of course, here you can see there will be some concerns about how to determine health and everything. So, yeah, it's exactly what I talked about, right? It's all about the money. Unwilling to address the actual problem, regular season is too long, all about the money.
Hello, I like money.
Exactly what I talked about before actually reading this, so I lied, I didn't read this. It's all about the money. Let me also try to find the fines real quick, and that will be it for the video. I really wanted to talk about this because I think it's truly interesting, but it's also, once again, two birds of one stone. I don't know. There are two sides of this that are both understandable, right? And I think it's really hard to find a medium, and the real medium would be to reduce the regular season games, but it's all about the money. It's all about the money. Money. Mr. Krabs. Okay, that was horrible. Fines for player resting NBA. 100,000 for first offenses, 250,000 for second offensive, and 1 million more than the previous penalty for each additional fine. So I guess teams would be willing to do these first two offenses, and then they would have to be real goddamn careful, right? And the league will continue to study the data. Adam Silver in the lab studying, man. Shout out to him. All right, that's it. Let me know your thoughts about these new rules. If you think they're great, if you think they're a little too much, if you think like me that it's just avoiding the biggest issue, which was even in this article, which yeah, I said I read it wholly, but I lied. Why do I lie so much? I don't know. It's something about the drama or something like that. I should stop this right now. Be kind to yourselves and to others, baby, and I'll catch you all in another video tomorrow.